So back when I was in college, for my film history class, we'd watch this film called Birth of a Nation, well-known film. What we never talked about in that class, though, was the impact that film had on race and society.
Yeah, no, it had a major impact, and Black people were so upset about the film and the negative images portrayed of them that they created their own counter called race films.
Yeah, not too many people know about race films and, the impact that they had on American film history.
Right, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Black cinema, and we're also going to share some of our favorite Black films.
Nice.
All right, cool.
So today we're talking about Black cinema, and we're going to go over like a little bit of the history of it. Okay. You guys both had mentioned race films.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is, or what are, race films? Or what were race films?
Okay, I have a definition.
You have all of it, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, basically what it is some scholars have defined race films through some combination of the following, right? These are films during the early 1900s to 1930s, an African-American cast, either in part or in whole, produced by an African-American owned company, and they were produced outside the Hollywood system, intended for exhibition to African-American audience.
So Black viewers, basically.
Yeah, basically blackity black.
Okay.
Designed
on
to,
everything.
designed to counter prevailing caricatures of African-Americans on film, which points to what Marcus was saying in the intro.
Right.
Yeah, in terms of Birth of a Nation. So in my film class, we would watch that film because of how it was edited, because it was one of like the first films that had like a story in a way. Because you see a lot of sort of like,
film.
I mean, it's a horror. It's a horror film for white. It was a horror film for white folks because of the negative portrayal of black
Scary
people
black
in that.
people.
Yeah,
Right.
and blackface portrayed as sort of monsters. That you would see in like Frankenstein or something like
The
that.
savage.
Yeah, the savage.
Which is one of those archetypes that stereotype.
Exactly.
Kind of characters,
W.E. Griffith directed that in 1915 is when it came out. And it was one of the films that sort of like gave rise to the resurrection of the Ku Klux Klan.
For sure.
So, so we in my class, we never really talked about how that came about. We just kind of talked about, the editing. We know it's bad. But that editing.
But look how they cut from scene to scene.
Exactly. It was shown at the White House.
Yeah, right.
White people that probably agreed with some of that stuff. So that's
all of it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's so crazy to me. It's like, when you... I think that when you teach something like that, it's an easy way to tie in, look how this film, made an impact in film, but look how it impacted society. And then you can show what not to do and how film can impact history and impact society. And it could be a lesson. It could be a teaching tool in that sense, too. But people just gloss over it.
With the race films, it's pretty funny because I remember even as a kid, right, seeing these films like with all, from back in the day with all black cast, black and white, and wondering like where they came from, like when did, when did that happen? And it was, it was kind of confusing because, I didn't see them on a regular basis, but I would I don't know where I would catch a glimpse of them and like wonder like who are these people and what's going on? Yeah.
Considering how old those films are, that kind of makes sense.
Right.
Right. They're so a lot of people don't know, like you said, about race films and what they are. And we said that it went to the 30s, but some will say that it went past like to the 40s, like Stormy Weather, that with Lena Horne.
Right.
And I remember seeing that as a kid, and I'm like, this is really cool because, like you said, it was old, but it had all black cast in it, and it was just interesting. So there's those race films did last for a little bit longer than the 30s, but then we get into like black exploitation films after that.
Yeah, those are cool. So black exploitation films, basically, it was one of those things that it was like an ethnic subgenre, right? It's because there was the exploitation film during that time, like the grindhouse stuff and all of that, during the early 1970s. And basically, blaxploitation films are a portmanteau or a blending of black and exploitation films.
Okay.
It was coined in August of 1972 by Junius Griffith, and he was the president back then. He was the president of the Beverly Hills Hollywood NAACP branch.
Okay.
Because I guess he was saying that they were exploitive of black people because, a lot of them had a lot of stereotypical,
Jive.
Jive, turkey, you know, pimps and hustlers and all that type of thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
You watched. So we were saying that Shaft was a black exploitation.
Well, no, that's
film.
how they. When you look at a listing of, you got your Shaft, Superfly, Cleopatra Jones, Hell Up in Harlem, Dolomite. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
but to me, with Shaft, I didn't think of Shaft. The first, because there was like 3 Shafts, I think, films. Oh, okay. The first one seemed, I think Gordon Parks, I think, was the producer director.
Yes, he was, yes.
That was like a good, film as far as I was concerned. But I mean, it's in that genre. But
that's an interesting sort of like thing to think about. It's just like you think of it as just like a good film. Right. Mm-hmm. But then again, it's like, but then you put it in the black film and all that, and it's like, or can black films be good?
Right.
That's kind of, right? That's true.
But I don't put it in the same reign as Dolomite and Shaft. I don't think they're like the same.
There's levels to this.
That's true.
So you got the black exploitation films, but then, we talked about race films. What is a black film? What is considered a black film?
That's interesting because that's definitely has changed over the years. Like back in those days with race films or blacksploitation films, it was kind of set. Like
clear cut.
It's clear cut. Like, there's a bunch of black people in it. Yeah. That's obviously a black film.
Right.
Nowadays, you have something like that, and it's like you have films today where you have a lot of black people in them, but it's a weird sort of like blending of a few different factors on whether or not you'll consider it a black film or not.
Well, so you got a movie. Say you got a movie like The Color Purple, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Steven Spielberg produced it, right? Directed it, whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was a black cast, so is that a black film?
That's a black film.
I consider it a black film.
Right.
Because I think also the storyline as well, if you're talking about, because, they're black, so naturally it's going to be, a black storyline. So to me, that's a black film.
Well, I got so for example, when we were talking about the race films, we were talking about how it was for a black audience. Mm-hmm. But now films are for more than just a black audience.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, so like Color Purple wasn't just for black people; it was for everybody.
Exactly. That's a story everybody knows,
right?
Or at least
a lot of people
are
familiar with.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Spike Lee movies.
Those are black films.
Those I would say those are black films,
right?
Except for was it Inside Man?
That's still a black film.
I get.
Denzel is in it.
Yeah, that's because Verdel is in it.
Who else black is up in there besides him? And
no, there's a lot of black. Chili Dog's in there.
Yeah. Oh,
Daryl Chill Mitchell's in there. And Chiwetel Ejiofor. Yeah. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Sorry. I like him.
If Denzel's in the movie.
No. I know you're going to say.
It's a black film.
With Man on Fire.
Yeah, he was the only black person in the movie.
Would you consider all of the films Denzel is in when he's like co-starring with a white person, black films? That's like Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pine, Mark Wahlberg. All those films you would consider black films?
Have any of those stars that you just mentioned have they ever even been in black films? Like it just I don't think that.
All right.
The criteria is different.
So what you're saying is a black film has to be nowadays is totally blackity black.
And even then, it's weird because, like, take for example something like Black Panther, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Completely black cast, black director, black writer.
Wakanda forever. And some black producers, a lot of black crew members too, production designer. Then there you go.
But it's Marvel.
And it's one of those things in terms of black audience, right? Obviously, a bunch of black people showed up to watch that film, but everybody watched that film.
Right. But that's the first Marvel movie a lot of black people saw.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it is.
I think when you're talking about something like this, numbers matter. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's the overarching, but numbers matter.
Yeah.
And then those numbers have influence. That's why you saw so many, African and, black stuff in there that was like authentic and real, and it made it more black.
Oh,
to me,
100%.
It's a black film.
Yeah.
What would you think, Marcus's boy, Tyler Perry?
Oh. No, those are black films.
You can't
get no blacker than that. Medea movies.
You know what? That's the definition. Black movie equal Tyler Perry.
Wow.
Tyler Perry is black film. That's not even. Yeah. I mean, him being in other films doesn't make it a black film, obviously. But if it's Tyler Perry,
a Tyler Perry
black.
movie,
there you go.
It's black. That's like
That's it.
Ain't no question
debate.
in that. Yeah, ain't no debate in
So
that.
so as you see, we have a lot of we might have some differences of opinion when it comes to that.
and I'm sure everybody does. You guys got to let us know what
exactly
what you think.
You know what? Let's transition since we have our own little definitions of what a black film is.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of our favorite black films?
Good question.
Okay. We start with
someone else start.
Go ahead, Maya.
I would say probably The Color Purple that you just mentioned is definitely up there. I mean, I used to watch it all the time.
But is it a black film?
It is.
Okay.
She considers it so.
That The Wiz to me is a black film.
Oh yeah.
It's it's in that weird genre though, because I don't know how many of the. I mean, Quincy Jones obviously produced it and wrote the music, but
Majority
the director
black
is,
cast.
But I forget who the director is. It's not Joel.
Sidney
Schumacher.
Lumet
for a black audience.
Sidney Lumet, he's white.
Right.
But
to me, it's still a black film.
It's weird
because it oozes blackness.
Yeah.
The cultural, how
the cultural. I know. So you're saying it from a cultural point of view.
Yeah,
right?
I think
that's true.
Oh,
right.
I like
you're right.
That
That's
makes
important.
sense. That makes sense.
That is important.
My favorite. You know what I'm gonna say.
I really don't.
Yeah, I actually don't.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm actually curious.
Love and Basketball.
Oh,
that is one of my
black film.
favorites.
I would consider it a black film.
That's a black
film.
I
That's a
love
black
that.
female director too.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, queen. Yes, queen.
Yes.
That was a good. That was a good one. Love and Basketball.
That's a good one.
Dad, I still gotta think of mine.
Oh man. I mean, I got a few. One of my favorites is Soldier Story.
Oh, that was a play, right?
Right, that was a play, and it was.
I got another one, but go ahead.
Yeah, Soldier Story. I don't know. There's too many to mention.
Right.
Wow.
If you want to go back in the day to I don't know if it's, but this is the '70s. At Blaxploitation, like the Uptown Saturday Nights and
Captain
the
Old School.
Let's Do It Again. Those are my favorite
two
back
are
in the
good.
days.
Yeah,
The whole
those are
Sidney
good.
Poitier, Bill Cosby. But definitely Soldier Story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a few.
Soldier
I could go on
Story's
for other ones, but what?
Right.
Boomerang.
Boomerang.
Boomerang is in my top.
So I guess
Who directed Boomerang? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Dang,
I think it was a white guy.
It was a white guy. Most of those Eddie Murphy films were directed by white directors.
Okay.
Coming to America was.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's the culture.
That's
I
right.
like
It's
that.
the
cultural
I like
impact,
that. I
what
like
we
that.
adopt and what we embrace, what we can identify with and recognize. I think that's part of what makes a black film.
Marcus, what
I guess
about
if I
yours?
have to say that, then it had to be Black Panther.
Oh,
Even though I was arguing.
Didn't he
it.
just argue that it wasn't?
I guess. I mean, if I couldn't pick that, it'd be maybe something like, I don't know, Life.
Oh.
Life is really good. I don't even know who
really
directed
good.
that, but Life is one of those ones that I really liked.
Really?
Life was a very good
that was a deep movie.
was
Funny as
deep.
all get out.
Yeah, that's
Funny.
one of those films no one really talks about too much besides the black community.
Yeah.
So that's
That's true.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's right. You're
You
right.
know,
That was
like,
an impactful film. Like you said, not only funny, but it was like, ooh,
It was heavy.
It was heavy.
It was heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Would
Would
heavy.
you consider Get Out a black film?
Oh, Jordan Peele, duh.
Yeah.
Jordan,
What do you think?
yes.
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 Yeah?
100%. Because I mean, not
Because
only
of the
is
concept?
the concept, not only because definitely with Jordan Peele, because not only are his films like starring black people and he's a black director and all that and the writer and all that,
Right.
but it is strictly about the black experience.
Yes.
So Get Out is strictly about, which is interesting because a lot of the cast is actually white.
Right. Yeah.
I know,
That's
right?
interesting. That's an
But
interesting one.
what does he
Right.
call his movies?
What,
He has
black
like a
horror?
genre.
Social, cultural thrillers?
Something like that.
Something along
Yeah.
those lines, yeah.
So speaking of that, he's fairly new when you're talking about the history of black cinema, let's say.
Right.
What do you think the future is of black cinema?
I only see it going up from here, honestly. I'm pretty encouraged.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
there's a lot of black directors out there.
Yeah.
There's more black
doing a lot-
people. Yeah, there's more
Yeah.
black people in the room talking
make-
about that stuff.
exactly,
There's a lot more
you need 'em in the
black
room.
people, both starring and behind the camera, that are bringing a lot of these stories to life. We
Making
have,
these decisions on what's going to become a movie,
We have Jordan Peele. We have Ava DuVernay. We have Ryan Coogler's. We have
the British, two of the British guys. isn't it?
Steve McQueen.
Steve McQueen.
right.
We have. I'm trying to
The
think of that
gentleman that
other.
did Moonlight.
Oh, this is gonna.
It'll
this is gonna
come.
bother me. But yes, that man. The showrunner of Lovecraft Story is directing films. I forget her name too.
Lovecraft Country?
Lovecraft Country, yes,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
like she's been directing things.
Right.
And hopefully, maybe we'll have all these names in the bottom screen.
We will.
Yeah, come more prepared with stuff like this. But we have all these sort of like black voices, there.
Right.
That will elevate, and and what's also cool is that we're seeing them in different genres. They're not just like the
Yeah.
dramas. They're not just in dramas or
Right.
Well,
or
comedy.
Right.
Well,
comedies.
Westerns with the Netflix.
Right.
The Harder They Fall.
Harder They Fall, exactly.
And you
So-
know what? There's a lot of different avenues I think that you can get filmed
Of
in
course.
as well. You know, so the definition of black films, we kind of talked about it. I'm gonna go with Maya's definition because I really like that.
I like that too, honestly.
The
Yeah.
whole cultural aspect of it.
Cultural
Has a
aspect.
cultural,
I think it's how
has a
we adopt
cultural,
it.
Good job,
right,
Maya
how we
Boo.
adopt it and identify with it. That's part of the
I know.
impact.
I like that too.
So we would love to hear what you guys think about all of this.
Right.
And please just let us know what you think about black films and some of your favorite black films,
Right.
given your definition.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's continue this conversation on social media. We have Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and Facebook, and we also have a YouTube channel.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, you should also subscribe to that YouTube channel, like this video, comment below if you got something to say, and also hit the notification bell
Ding ding.
so you get notified whenever we put out new videos.
We want to thank you so much for watching Let's Kick It with the Joneses, and we will see you next time.
Peace.